Let's go. Are we actually on? You're here listening with Kayla
and Georgia,
bringing you real, raw, and relatable chats on the Evolve to Thrive podcast.
Stay tuned because shit's about to get juicy as we dive into all things health, fitness, life, and relationships.
Let's go. Woo. Before we get into this episode, I just want to preface that this episode may be triggering. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only. It is important to note that this information provided is a conversation that is not a substitute for professional, medical, psychological, or clinical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please always seek the advice of a qualified health professional regarding any medical or psychological concerns. We suggest that if you are triggered in any way, shape, or form, to please seek further help and support via the 1-800-RESPECT line on 1800-737-732. On today's episode, we have one of my bestie friends on, Georgia Seymour, who we have brought on to discuss a real life story on the topic of toxic, narcissistic relationships and being the other woman.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
So, and we thought that this would be like a really great episode coming off the back of last week's episode on the whole red flags and icks of dating. So yeah, we've literally brought this girl on because this is a wild fucking story.
This is the ultimate, this is the ultimate disrespect.
This is juicy, this is hectic, this is intense. So buckle in because we're going to be talking about all things relating to gaslighting, infidelity, manipulation, and overcoming domestic violence, as well as the importance of self-work, personal development, and the role that it plays in coming out the other side as a better person. So I just want to preface and highlight that my friend Georgia here went through an extremely toxic relationship a few years ago, and we've brought her on literally to talk about this and also how now she is in the most beautiful relationship, engaged to the man of her dreams, and we literally want to show and highlight all of this with you. So welcome.
We also know so many other women going through the same shit too. I know so many women that are in abusive, toxic relationships. So I think a lot of people will relate to you.
Well, I hope so. I think it's probably really important for people to share their stories. By sharing, I guess it gives people, hope in the other side.
And how to get out of it.
Yeah.
Let's get started into our segue of the week. Craving or tip of the week. Segue of the week. Woo! Tip or craving of the week. Kayla, kick it off.
All right, so
you probably need some vitamin C.
I need some vitamin C tablets. So I am going to go with a tip for the week, and my tip is to fucking surrender.
Surrender to what?
There's a lot of things that I'm surrendering to right now. True. First one is rest. I am surrendering to just resting and catching up on my sleep that I've deep and well and truly neglected. And probably I'm surrendering to dating and I'm just not doing it. I'm fucking done.
You're in the red zone. I've had enough.
I am done.
I love it. That's all you need to. You're deep in your prep now, so dating should be the last thing on your mind.
Yeah, I'm surrendering to me, myself, and I.
That's it.
Yeah.
You're dating you, yourself, and I. I love it. Georgia, what is your tip or craving of the week?
Well, this was really hard, but I've been keeping a stash of these things called stroop waffles at home. They're like...
You had me at waffle. What is that?
So it's basically like a waffle with a layer of caramel inside. So for the people who drink their black coffee, you sit it on top, and then by the time the coffee's cooled down, you pick off the stroop waffle and it's gooey.
How macro friendly are
Not
these?
very. I had 2 this morning and I was already at 350 calories.
Oh dear.
Wow.
Yeah. Delicious though. I love waffles, caramel, and I have my coffee black. So that screams my name.
I know, but I only buy the ones that are on Aldi's special buys.
Yes.
And they're few and very far between, so you have to stock up.
Okay.
So she's got
the
2
ones?
No, they're I can't even describe them. They're from the Netherlands. Yeah, so maybe I don't want to tell you my secret.
That
You'll
sounds
be there with your
unreal.
car.
Keep Georgia away. She's had enough.
Literally.
What are you tipping or craving though?
Craving. So this is when we were at your house on Saturday night when we had those.
Oh my God, the salted caramel
This is
popcorn.
the first time that I tried those sea salt caramel popcorn with the melted chocolate on top.
Oh,
That has honestly,
the drizzle.
that has changed my life. That's my new favourite snack.
Wait, so is it a craving or a tip or both?
It's both. It's a tip actually. Go and buy some if you haven't tried
It's
them.
fucking
They're
unreal.
fucking elite. Oh, I'm getting
cobs,
excited
right?
thinking about it.
So the salted
cobs.
caramel.
Sea salt caramel drizzled with milk chocolate. Wow. Drizzled with milk chocolate on top.
Yeah, it's so
It's a bit of
good.
a tongue twister, but
So sweet as well.
yeah, they hit
Sweet
the
and
spot.
salty.
Sweet and salty. How I
divine.
like it.
Yeah. All right. Let's get into the episode. So we might start with Georgia. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how was your week been, Dull?
Me.
Yeah.
You talk to us.
I know we've got two Georges on the pod. Georgia Seymour, Georgia Lay. All right. So
Yeah, I guess I'm feeling very good. I've been very positive this week. I did my own, I guess, I don't know, check in with myself on Sunday night. I went to Kmart. I bought those special
the planners.
Yep, a planner. And although I haven't been ticking anything off the planner, I've written it down.
That's the most important thing.
Yep. So I've written stuff down, my daily goals and habits. Some are very well and easy done. Water, not a very good.
What are some of the goals that you've put in on this planner?
Step count?
Yep. What's your step count?
It's at 10,000. It's not that hard for me to hit, so maybe I need to push the bar higher.
She was setting realistic expectations at least.
2 litres of water, very hard to achieve
Yeah.
for me. Exercise at least once a day. And yeah, I had some others. Read, haven't been reading. Yeah, that was unrealistic.
Yeah, that's my. I always tell
Those things you need to schedule in because
You do.
I find that when I get to bed, I'm like, oh, I'll just read tomorrow. And the book's right there.
on my same.
You need to be like, no, you're going to bed to read, even if it's 10 minutes.
It's not me that's the issue with my reading. It's the person that I sleep next to who's the issue with my reading.
right.
He is always just scrolling on YouTube Shorts and eating an apple. I'm one of those people that gets sensory overload. So if you eat anything in my ear, it drives me bananas.
This is also the partner who drops his phone on George's head.
He rests it on my head right before he's about to go to sleep, and I can feel it, and then it's just crashing.
What do you mean?
Like,
Is it because he's rolling over? He's like this?
No.
so he knows that, like, I turn over because I'm like, I'm not interested. Like, it's time for me to switch off.
Not interested in
Then
you tonight.
he like sits it like on my head, balancing. Like, so he doesn't have to hold it. Yeah,
I love that. No, like think of when you're laying in bed with your phone and you drop your phone on your head.
Yeah.
It's that, but like he does it to Georgia.
I love it.
And wonders why she cracks it. All right. But look, he's the one that's the gem and the charm and the one that we love. And the funny story is I introduced you to both of these partners.
I know.
Which
is
is
50% success rate.
So let's talk about the success rate of me introducing partners to Georgia. So we're here today to talk about the partner who completely fucked up Georgia's life and the partner who has completely transformed
Changed your life.
her life. Mm-hmm. So this all has happened in the space of 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years. Anyway, so what we might do is we might talk about your current relationship status now with the man that you are
Me mans.
engaged to.
Yeah. What? I was like, where's the camera looking at me?
Yeah,
When did you get engaged?
July.
This year?
July, yep.
Were you overseas for that?
Yes, I was.
Where were you?
We were in Spain.
Oh, how did he propose?
Ooh, great question. The hint dropper, I call him. So, oh my gosh, Georgia, we're going to hire a private boat because everybody does it. Everybody. Okay. Pacing up and down, freaking out. Where's this boat? Where's this boat? So then he hired a boat on an island in Spain. And it like the pedals were out in the love heart, the champagne.
That's
and
so
I hopped
beautiful.
on and I freaked the fuck out.
Did you click straight away?
I knew that day because I'd fallen over and rolled my ankle and scraped my whole knee. So like Our love relationship's tragic. Every time we have a milestone, something shit always happens.
Oh, don't say that. Don't put that out there.
Like the day he asked me to be his girlfriend, bird shat on us. And it was like sideways. Like we were under an umbrella and we both got shat on. And like we're just standing there and everyone behind us are like, ew.
Oh my goodness. Wasn't there? There were multiple times you were out dining out at a restaurant and so you got soup in your eye or something.
He's Vietnamese and he's like, he took me to a Vietnamese restaurant and he's like putting in all the spices and all the like the mint and like the sprouts and he's talking to me. And I'm like trying to slurp seductively, like, and I flicked chili in my eye.
Oh no.
And the worst part was I'm like trying to play it off. My eye is like full twitching and it's like watering.
On fire.
And then he's like grabs a lettuce leaf and just smashes it straight into my eye. I'm like, oh, thanks. And then he's like, do you want me to blow on your eye? And I was like,
oh, sexual.
I was like, it's okay. I'll be okay. He's like, no, come here. So in the middle of the restaurant, he starts blowing in my eye.
Oh, he's such a dork, but I love him.
Yeah, how do you know him?
Okay, so I know Will through, I should not have dropped the name. Anyway.
Hey, Will. Let's do a plug. If you would like to have some insane osteo treatment at the osteo room, he would love some more clients.
You actually did modeling for him, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. So we go back a long time. So I used to lifeguard with him back in the day. And then so we've always known each other. We grew up in the same area. Anyway, I was going in for an osteo treatment years ago and I mentioned it to Georgia. I was like, oh, just got a little bit of release. And she goes, I really need a treatment. Like she injured herself in some way. I'm like, yeah, cool. Go see my osteo. Next minute, Georgia is now teed up with the osteo. And I'm like,
don't come at us, Apra. It's consensual.
Like, oh, yeah, right. Okay. You went in for an osteo treatment. She's come back with a husband.
I love it. That's so good.
So, yeah, I introduced Georgia to Will, but I did also introduce her to the guy who is
Voldemort.
The man that we're going to
Voldemort.
The man we're going to talk about who is a fucking psycho. But is there anything else we want to mention about the current relationship or do we want to start going into the toxic one?
Can I ask a question?
You may.
Yep.
How did he ask you out?
Oh, well. So this was my
Is this the water bottle situation?
Well, I don't know. So, the water bottle was the start. So, I had to go to work and it was like in COVID where everything was like a bit private. And I'd brought a bag to get changing because I was like, I'm going to wear my hot stuff to work today because then I'm going to go see the osteo. And then I went there and he's like, oh, you're going to have to get changed. And I was like, okay. And then I put my bottle behind the seat so I didn't see it. And then he came and dropped it off because I'm like, oh, that's my night water bottle. Like, I need it. I was like, you sucker. Fell for it. Like, I didn't need it. I can live without water. Duh. But no. So
you teed it up.
But I was so nervous because I had to invite Bella over because I was like, oh my God, is he going to rape me? Like, I was so worried. Oh my God. I was like, because I was just like, I don't really know this guy.
So
why would
he came over to yours?
Well, no. He met me in a car park at the Anglers.
Oh, this was the part where all of these guys are hanging out without me. So they all go and hang out. I'm the one that's not there and I'm stuck in wherever I was, like in Caroline Springs, isolated from the five.
The worst part was that our friend Bella has the worst feet known to man. She's got an extra bone in there. They're so yuck. She's going to hate me for saying this, but
you've been exposed, Bella.
So she sits in my car and Will's looking at it, touching it. And she goes, how I scored a free treatment. Then Matt came over and he's showing Will how he runs like a gazelle. Like it was just, and then we went into Matt's place for a drink.
And I'm like, where the fuck was my invite?
Oh, cute. Yeah. And then your first date, just you two was?
Yeah.
So no, before that, I'm like laying down on the table, which I didn't know he had vibes at that point. He flicked my bra strap and I was like, this is not behavior. He's not allowed to flick my bra strap. I was like so freaked out, like because of what previously happened. I was like, just red flag, avoid.
Yeah, right.
And then so we went for a walk, and he ran into someone that he knew with his previous girlfriend, and he pushed me into a bush. That was our first date.
Look at you. Wait, he pushed you into a bush.
So like we're walking, and he's like trying to like hold my hand, and then he sees someone he knows, and he just goes bang. Oh, pushed me off.
Was this the ex-girlfriend?
This is your current partner.
This is my current. Yeah, this is Will.
Why did you do that?
He goes, oh, sorry, it was a natural reaction. Reaction. I was like, am I that disgusting? It was just like so shocked. Like it was just so quick. I was just like pushed. Yeah.
Didn't have time to respond.
No. I was like, what the hell was that? Oh, sorry. I was like, I don't really like that, but okay. Like, I think you guys will find out I'm a little bit of a sucker.
There's so many other stories we could probably mention about your current relationship and how that kind of eventuated. But I think the main focus of today's conversation is definitely about the toxic narcissistic relationship that you encountered a few years ago. And we'll finish off with how it's all turned around and it's all worked out for the better, and you've completely evolved into this new relationship where you are thriving. But let's rewind. Let's rewind back to 3 years ago when you met this guy who turned your life upside down.
Literally. I felt like towards the end of that, I was like, am I just coming out of the womb again?
Being
like
reborn.
I had to find my feet again, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. So much happened in that time. So let's take us back to that.
Okay. So 2019, big shout out to Kayla. Thank you so much for introducing this person to me.
I'm surprised you're still friends with her.
Well, it will come out that like I had to pretend I wasn't friends with Kayla. Like we were distant towards the end of it. I had to change her name in my phone. Like that's how bad it got.
Oh,
the silver lining is you actually are thanking me because you ended up going through a lot of personal development through that time.
Sometimes you just have to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
It's you.
Most of these relationships teach you shit like that though.
Yeah.
Like it forces you to look at yourself. And that was one of the questions I was going to ask you before. Like, was there things that that relationship made you look inwards and be like, okay, this is where I need to heal or grow or?
Well, it wasn't like it was something that someone said to me that kind of like really struck a chord. So like Bella and I were like best friends, and towards the end of it we were like really rocky, and she sat me down for coffee and she goes like, I don't like the person you are. She goes, I used to look up to you. Like you used to go traveling by yourself, and now you can't even go like to the gym without being like checked in on, or someone watching you, or someone waiting for you to be where you are. Like, where are you? And I was like, looked at her and I was like, man, I fucked up. But like, where did it go wrong? Like, at what point do you realize that the behavior is not normal?
Yeah. Did you realize you were like that at that point?
No. Like, I realized I was so far removed from what my life was, but it's like my family didn't even like, I'm surprised they didn't call it out sooner. Like they said like, well, this is a bit wrong. But like I was living at home and I never went home. Like it was so wild.
So you were living with your ex Voldemort at this time?
Yeah. living with Voldy. Yeah.
So how long were you living with Voldy for?
It wouldn't have been that long because we actually weren't together for that long.
How long were you together for?
So I can only remember it because
I feel like it was about 2 years.
What? No, like 8 months.
Was it?
Yeah.
So
because
much happened in those 8 months.
I went to Uganda with school, like because like we had like started dating, and then like, do you want me to just start from the start?
Let's start.
Let's
give the listeners context. So I'll start with explaining the situation. So at the time, I was actually in a relationship as well, and I was also in a toxic relationship. Now, this was a kind of relationship where you would party a lot and you would meet a lot of people, and it obviously didn't involve good things, right? So there was one night in which I invited Georgia over to my partner at the time, or the pub.
Yeah, we met at the pub.
Okay, so it started, let's just say Saturday night, having a few drinks, you introduce your friends to people friends through friends, right? And then so Georgia started talking to this guy. Then it eventuated. We went back to the house in which I was temporarily living at the time. And then things just went from there. So from that moment, I'll let you kind of roll out the rest of the story.
Well, I have a really good memory, Kayla, but I didn't remember that part. So like we met at the pub and I was only dropping in. Like I was dropping in and this Baldy was also dropping in because he was dropping stuff off to your partner, I'm pretty sure at the time. And I was like, oh, this guy's a mysterious. I like mysterious. Everyone's a sucker for a little bit of mysterious, aren't they? Yeah. And then so I was like talking to him and he saw, because I didn't have a jacket, but I had like the school I was working at, their puffer. And he's like, oh, that looks really familiar. And it turned out that I worked with his cousin at the time. So then he kind of just found whatever he could and he would latch on and be like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I'm thinking of doing that. So like, I think you told him, oh, Georgia's really adventurous. She's going to do Kokoda. And he was like, oh, I'm doing Kokoda.
Of course you are.
Yeah. Like he's like, I'm doing Kokoda. I'm like, oh, when? Who are you going with? Like, yeah. And he would like tell me this whole story, like and then I was like, okay. I'm like, well, I'm going to go. And he's like, no, come with me to my car. And I was like, oh, okay, creepy. But went out and I was like,
anyway.
Went out into a dark alleyway behind the factory. And I just went there and I was just so captivated. Like he was an amazing storyteller. I just tell people, like the way that I describe him is that he's a chameleon. Like he could shapeshift into whatever the fuck you wanted him to be. Yeah. And he would. Yeah.
A lot of them are like that too. You're just so captivated in what they're saying. You're so infatuated.
Yeah. Yeah. So then like I went back to that place and I got to know him a little bit more. And then I went home and I like didn't get his number, didn't have him on any social media. And then the brain starts ticking over and you're like, I wonder what they're up to. Because like he was just so into my shit or what I was talking about at the time that I was like, oh, maybe he's actually interested in me. So then I found him on Facebook and I added him. Didn't hear anything back because I was like, oh, probably got a girlfriend anyway. Doesn't really matter. And then he messaged me. He goes, I knew you'd be thinking about me. Like super creepy. I knew you'd want a piece of this. And I'm just like, oh, okay, weirdo. And then like we just like went through a story and then he had actually ghosted me at that time. And I didn't hear from him for like a week. And I was just like, whatever, doesn't matter. And then he messaged me again and he said, oh, I've been really unwell. Like I have this condition, listed the condition. And I was like, hang on, I'm just going to Google this because I'm not an idiot. And it was like a real condition. It said that like there comes times of the year when it's like winter that you become part paralyzed or something like that.
What was the condition?
What was it?
It's called like Guillain-Barré syndrome. Have you heard of it? Yeah. So it's like, super fucking rare. Like, how the fuck did you find out about it? Shame if it's actually not true.
Shame. I better come up with a story that's fucking wildly like
so warped
possible.
That like, and then he like gave me this narrative of how he was in year 9, like playing some sort of stupid sport like cricket or something, and that he hit the ball and like his legs fell out from under him, and then it was like house, and he was in this room and all these doctors were around. Anyway, moving on. So then he was like to me, I really want to take you out on a date. And I'm like, well, I don't go out on school nights. Oh, you're a pussy. You're a pussy. Yeah. What person doesn't go out on school nights? Because I knew the type of guy he was, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to rock up to work the next day. Like, because, yeah.
It's a wild one.
Wild bit of gear. He was. Asshole. And so I was like, lost all my own instincts and was like, fine, I'll go out with you on a Thursday night. He's like, great, I'll pick you up. And I was like, okay. So I'm getting ready at the house and my brother is there and he goes outside with a cigarette and he walks back inside and looked like he'd seen a ghost. And he goes, you're not fucking going out with that guy. And I looked at him, I was like, what do you mean? And he goes, Georgia, we're going to have a serious chat when you get home. And I was like, no, tell me. And he's like, I can't tell you, but just so you know, this is not happening. Now, if someone says no to you, it's very unlikely that you listen to the no.
Yeah. The more you want to do it.
So then like we went out, we had a good time. And then he saved his number in my phone as Kingpin. Red flag. Red flag.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
not gonna
imagine describing yourself as a kingpin.
I'm definitely not going to save this girl's number as a girl's name, am I?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, so I went to the bathroom, and I'm someone who's super trusting. Like, I have nothing to hide, and I have my phone with no passcode. So I went to the bathroom, and like, I left my phone on the bench or like the table that we were at, and he saw another guy messaging me. And I came back, and he's like, who's that guy? And I'm like, oh, just some guy I went on a date with. Why? Why would you go on a date with him? You know I'm interested in you.
And this is the first date, right? This is the first
this
date.
is the first date. And I'm just like,
Alarm bell should have been ringing already.
Relax. Well, I was saying to Kayla the other day, I was like, and I think I said it to you, it's like, when I was younger, I was not popular by any means. No boy was interested in coming down and giving me milkshakes, all right?
So was this your
There was no milkshakes in my yard.
Was this the first type of like proper dating experience you had?
No. Like, I had gone out with a couple of guys before that, but like, I just always thought if someone likes you, it's nice to like them back.
Yeah, okay, right. Right. So there's the first red flag as well.
I'm a red flag.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyways, like, so then he knew that like I was talking to other guys. So he was just like red hot on me, 24/7, texting me, calling me, just so obsessed. And then he took me out to Crown or something and wined and dined me hard. And I was like, I've deserved this.
I've worked hard for this.
I was like, man, some people date some real flops, but I really deserve it. And then after that, I was going to Uganda with school. And he goes, before you leave, like, maybe we should just lock this down. And I remember Matt telling me, he goes, Georgia, don't do anything stupid before you go. Like, he knew.
Yeah.
He knew.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, whatever, Matt. Like, it's fine. And I was like, locked down. When I was in Uganda, he'd just started a new job, got fired from the job. All his housemates moved out. Like, he just, like, what he's described to me is what I could think of as my worst nightmare. And I'd actually had a dream that this was happening, like, at the same time, which was like super spooky.
What was the dream?
That he'd lost his job, like that he was sick, like all this shit. And I was like, this is some sort of crazy happening. Some spirit out there, some spirit guy's trying to tell me something and I'm not listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I got
We've all been
home.
there.
Yeah, it's subconscious.
Yeah.
Because you can see it happening.
Yeah. So then, like, I got home, he picked me up, we went out with all my friends, had such a great time, and I stayed at his place. I wake up, there's a girl standing over us in the house, and it looked like she was about to fucking kill me. Right?
So who was it?
I'll get to that.
Okay. We're getting there.
And she goes, you fucking slimy piece of shit. And just starts throwing everything across the room. And he's just like gone like this over me. And I'm like, I'm just going to go. He's like, yeah, just sit in the living room. And I just hear fucking shit flying. Like things are smashing.
Oh, you didn't go. You literally sat in the
I sat in the living room.
You wanted to hear it all.
What was running through your head at this point?
Wait for it. So then I like come out. I'm like, he comes out and he's like, oh, I'm so sorry you had to see that. And I'm like, who's that? And he's like, oh, that's my ex-girlfriend. And I was like, okay, what's she doing here? Oh, just picking up the last of her stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. Does she normally just turn up? Yeah, she's a bit crazy. And I said, oh, okay. So I'm sitting there and his new housemates are there and they're just like they let her in. So they knew what was happening.
Oh my God.
And like I hadn't met his new roommates or housemates. And so then like he had calmed her down and then she left and he had told her, she's a one night stand, don't worry about it. Like, don't worry about it, she's a one night stand, she won't be here again. Like, we're fine, we just need space in our relationship. And she's like, okay, leaves. And then I was like, I don't know if I can do this. So I left. He turned up at my house being like, I need to talk to you. I need to talk to you right now. And I'm like, I'm not really into this. And he's like, no, like she's got some serious mental health issues. Like if I'm not talking to her, she said she's going to kill herself. like making me believe
Yeah.
that she's the psycho.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then so like I was like, fine, whatever. Like I was like, I'm in this for fun anyway. We'll keep on going. Then I'm like,
what a fucking game. We love games.
yeah.
Oh.
So then like the next week rolls around and I'm like there 3 nights a week. And then like Sunday I'm like, I'm going to go home. Like I've got to get my stuff sorted for work. He calls me, I've lost my wallet. I had $3,000 in there. I can't pay any of my bills.
And who
I
has
need your help.
$3,000 in cash without that being shifty, right?
Read between the lines, people.
Literally.
Oh God.
And I was like, okay, like I'll come over. We'll come up with a bit of a plan because I'm a problem solver. I like solving people's problems. And I go over there and I find him under the covers in the fetal position like a fucking baby, like crying, like pulling all the stops, being like, and has all these bills laid out in front of him, being like, I just can't function unless these are paid for. He's like, and goes, I'm going to kill myself, like all this shit. And I was like, I calculated them up. And people who know me know I don't part with $1 very easily.
Yeah.
Now I very much don't. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll just pay them, but you have to pay me back. He's like, yeah, sure. And then so I paid them and then he was like, fixed, different person, like back to normal.
So this is where it started in terms of like this, would you say like emotional abuse where you started paying for things and getting him out of debt and
Yeah. So then at that time he had a brand new car and so he couldn't afford to pick it up from the shop and I was like, man, that's me very much overstepping. So I don't know how he found money, but he took this car from the shop and then he made me go with him to sell it. So he went with me to sell it, but he goes, oh, I've pretty much paid it off. And I was like, oh, okay. And when I went there, I realized he very much did not have it paid off. They had asked for the car back because he stopped paying for it.
So how long after was this situation from when he bought it? When he first bought it?
Well, I wasn't with him when he bought it, but he'd smashed it.
Right.
Yeah. So it was at the repairs and then he had to take it back to the dealership.
Were you questioning anything at this point? Were you like, I know it's a little bit rocky, but
like, did you see any red flags at this point?
did you think you were in a
This
toxic
was
relationship?
really before people started talking about these red, amber, all these flags. So it was like, I knew it wasn't normal based on my parents' relationship, but I didn't know how not normal it was.
Okay. And then
that
was
makes
anyone
sense.
was anyone around you saying, Georgia, wake up?
Well, yes. So Kayla came to me and she was like, hey, Georgia, I just thought you may know, I don't think he's done with his ex-girlfriend. Like, and I was like, what do you mean? And she goes, nah, like he was at Max's place. Sorry, name dropper. He was at my ex-boyfriend's place on Saturday night with her. With her? Yeah, with her. And I was like, oh, okay. So I questioned him. I was like, oh, I was just getting her name off the lease. Like that was his response. And he had a piece of paper to show me that he was getting her to sign this piece of paper. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was just like, whatever. And then he's like, what are you so worried about? Like, what's your problem? Like, why are you worried? Are you insecure or something?
Chucking it back on you.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I was like, I'm actually not, but I was just asking because I really would like to know. And he just like made it my fault. And you need to now spoil me because you made me feel bad.
The whole gaslighting side of things, right?
So then like I was like, okay, whatever. Yeah, it was just super bizarre.
But from this point, I might just step in and say this was a period in which Georgia had started to detach from me. Now, at this point, before she was in this relationship, we were like the closest of friends, right? And we had our own friendship circle and it slowly, that friendship started getting more distant and distant and distant. Yeah. And then to the point where this started happening with like more of your friends as time went on, right?
Yeah, and my family as well. So I guess they knew how bad it was, but couldn't tell me. They couldn't show me why it was so bad.
Yeah. You're probably still like wrapped up in the emotion of it as well. And you probably really liked him at the time.
I was like, oh, someone likes me.
Yeah.
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 And like we have that fear of ending up alone.
Yeah.
And like, even though how old was I? 25? Oh my God, I'm going to end up alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, wasn't really a real fear.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like it was just so interesting. So then he ended up not having a car, right? Then he hired a car from Rent-A-Bomb.
Rent-A-Bomb?
Rent-A-Bomb.
I've never heard of that. Rent-A-Bomb?
Rent-A-Bomb. And it was this like Toyota looking purple thing that was like so shit. And that was when that bleach blonde hair phase was in for guys. And I was like, oh, I really like guys with bleach blonde hair. So I wanted to see what it would look like. He fucking bleached his hair blonde.
Oh God.
Did you see it?
I remember. Yes, I do.
Like
I was like,
he'd bought it from like, Chemist Warehouse, got the girl show him how to do it. And then I turn up and I was like, oh, what the hell? And it was like bleach blonde and he thought he was like the hottest thing to walk this earth with this bleach blonde hair.
Oh, goodness.
Like,
disgusting.
Goodness.
Yeah. And then like we were going to the football with this crazy ass hair and we ran into people that knew his girlfriend at the time that I didn't know, and he was hiding me from them. So we would have to avoid certain places because we're in the MCC section, and he would make me sit in certain places. Like we'd have to like duck and weave. And I was like, oh, this is a really fun game, like a puppy.
Yeah, you had no idea.
No idea
what was going on.
Yeah. Because my first boyfriend ever, the first time he came to pick me up, he was on a bicycle. So it was a very big upgrade.
Yeah.
So talk to us more about some of the hectic stuff that went on in this relationship.
So a very funny one is like the ex-girlfriend knew I was around. Like she knew that I was there, but I didn't know that she was there. And she tried
At the house at the same time?
Like
No, just in
his
the
life.
life.
Oh, okay.
Because he had set her up somewhere else.
Right.
So he told her that I couldn't read and that I was dyslexic, and all this story that no matter if you reach out to her, she's not going to know what you're saying because she's so fucking dumb.
Disabled.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I've got something, it
Wrong
was just
with you.
wild. So then like we're sitting there, we're talking.
This is insane.
And then this message comes over. I didn't even know her name at the time. And I was like, oh, do you know this person? And I showed him the message and I see my phone fly across the room and he just hops hot on the phone and just starts berating someone. And I'm like, what's going on? And he goes, that's my crazy ex-girlfriend. She's being so like this, like we're not even talking at the moment. And she sends you that message. And I'm like, I actually haven't even finished reading it. Like,
Because you can't read.
literally can't read, but has a master's degree, you know? Idiot. And I was like, oh, okay, like whatever. And he goes, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it.
How do you react in these situations? Are you literally just like a yes man, or are you like fighting back with him?
I'm just like, oh, whatever. Just
Were you
a
scared?
Libra.
Were you scared of him at any point? Like scared to cause conflict?
Yes, but that's later down the track when I start to like remove everything that I got a bit scared of him. Like the police, I had to contact the police. Like that's how scared I was. So like when my phone flew across the room, it was kind of like maybe something's not right. And then he would do this isolating thing where he'd leave me at home and be like, you have to stay home to look after the dog, and would disappear for days at a time.
Wow.
Just on benders.
Yeah,
Just
wow.
wild. And then like other times he would make me drop him off to work in my school holidays and pick him up from work as like a control. So he would know where I would be at what time.
Yeah.
And like if I was to meet my friends, he would be checking in on me every 5 minutes, texting me. Like I was glued to my phone.
Yeah.
But I think the worst part is he was getting me to drop him off at workplaces that he didn't actually work at.
What do you mean?
He faked working.
Was this the lawn thing? Like
no, he had like 8 or 9 jobs we were together, couldn't hold down a job, but the other girlfriend was picking him up from work to hang out with him.
Wait, so when he would say drop me at work, where would you be dropping him?
To be honest, I don't even know. There was this place called, it was Yeah. Oh God, I'm really very good at.
So you would just drop him randomly at the front of somewhere?
Yeah, I would never see him go in because I'd be like, I have to go take myself to work.
Yeah.
But then someone else would come pick him up and take him out of her date day.
So how is he earning an income? How was he, other than
You were supporting this guy.
I was supporting him financially and his parents because his parents were very well off.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So like he was doing this one job and he's like, oh, I'm not getting paid any money, but wouldn't show me how much money he was making. He goes, I just know I'm worth more than this. Okay, you clean gutters. You cut the lawn. How much do you think you're actually worth?
Yeah.
He goes, I'm worth more than this. I'm like, all right, quit. I'm someone who tells people to follow their passion and their dreams.
He's saying this?
Me.
Okay.
Me. So like I tell everyone to quit their job. It's brilliant. Just quit. Who cares?
Yeah.
So then he did quit. And then it was my fault. It was my problem. Well, now I'm going to start my own gardening business. I need investors.
Pick me.
Oh, I'd love to be a sugar mama.
Sugar mama.
So then like he's putting out all these pamphlets showing me, pretty much took me through a PowerPoint of how he was going to make money. He'd made a PowerPoint, shown me his logo design, all this crazy shit. And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds really good.
He must be someone, people like that must be severely unwell. Like you'd have to have like a lot of mental issues to put the time and effort into doing things like that. And to control people like that.
Well, only child syndrome maybe. I don't know.
How is it related?
Oh. So before I was in the relationship, he didn't have any relationship with his parents.
Yeah.
Because like he goes, all my other girlfriends were absolute flops. But it was actually because he was engaged beforehand.
Wait, hang on. Can we rewind? Isn't like one of the biggest things that we speak about as a red flag is when guys talk negatively about their exes to you?
And on top of that, the relationship that they have with their
parents. Yes. So two red flags.
Yeah.
If you don't have a good relationship with your parents, red flag. If you talk negatively about your ex-partners, red flag. So we've identified two red flags.
I think this
guy.
There's
multiple.
Surpass that.
Let's
surpass that. Oh wow.
Well, let's highlight them. Let's highlight these red flags. So A, couldn't hold down a job. Mm-hmm. Called his ex-girlfriend crazy, which actually, in fact, was not his ex-girlfriend. Do we want to elaborate on this?
I think there's like so much more than just red flags there. Like what I was saying before, like I think people like this have a lot of issues, like a lot of mental health issues, and he would have formed all these type of behaviors from when he was younger. Yeah, because of no relationship with his parents, or like just. He's probably been through a lot of shit and he doesn't know how to deal with it. And this is his way of, I don't know, trying to deal with it.
I think he always wanted to be the cool kid on the block as well. I don't know. Yeah. Well, like he had, like he had a substance abuse problem. Like I just remembered because like I was trying to find going through my archives of like everything that I'd remembered, everything that I'd written down to look back on. It was like he would have to take tablets to fall asleep.
Yep.
Like every night. Yeah. He would like, if I was out having a good time with my friends, he'd pull some mystery illness and find him like being like, you need to come home and look after me now.
God, he gets sick a lot.
I know. Surprised he's still alive.
Wasn't there that side of him where he would even say to the point like, I'm going to kill myself. He would pull the suicide card with you.
Like I had threatened to be like, oh, I'm not really into this. We're done. And then he goes, I'm going to overdose right now. Like if you don't come over, I'm going to be dead tomorrow. Like all this stuff. And I turn up and I have to like smash through a window to get into the house. And he goes, wow, you ruined my high. Oh, sorry? Should just leave then.
Excuse me for interrupting.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was like, I was like, oh. Yeah.
What are some other crazy things that happen that really stand out to you and you go, holy shit.
Oh,
how did I stand
We went
for this?
to a pub and like he was there with his football team and like
Red flag.
Red flag.
And we were there and I overheard these two guys and he goes, he brought a different girl last week. Who's this chick?
You overheard this?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like I was leaving to go home and he didn't come because he was tuning another girl somewhere else in the place.
And it wasn't the ex-girlfriend, it was another girl.
It was another girl. Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think it is about you, or what do you think, that's deep down in you that's not healed, or what trauma do you think that you had that allowed you to keep running back to him or like putting up with behavior? Like why?
My siblings are the problem? No.
The first few red flags that you saw, why didn't you like stand your ground then or leave then?
I might have to throw my sister under the bus here. Sorry, Sarah. So I used to call my sister the boyfriend stealer.
Yeah.
So she would always get into relationships with guys that her friends had dated. So I'm like, to me that was like, oh, that's interesting. But I think I just wanted to be liked.
Yeah.
And like in high school, no one ever liked me. No one ever wanted to date me. I was a curly-headed fuck. Curly-headed fuck. Like I was not attractive by any means of the word. So for someone to like, I guess be like, wow, like, and just like comment on my like physical appearance, I was like, you deserve my time.
Okay.
Even if you fuck me over, you deserve my time.
Yeah. Because so you feel like you didn't get that attention in high school?
Well, not in high school in general, but like whenever I would go out, everyone used to come up to us and be like, is that girl single? Pointing at Kayla. No, she's been in a relationship for a very long time. Oh, and then they'd move on to Bella. Like, and I was always last option.
Oh, okay.
Do you know what's interesting though? Now
I'm everyone's first option.
Now you're the one that's engaged.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that no one wants. Do you know what I mean? So it's fine. It's worked out well for you.
Do you ever feel like that you're still dealing with that type of like insecurity?
No. It's really funny. Like when Will came along, I was not looking for anything. It's like I was like happier to be alone than to be with anyone.
Yeah, especially after coming out the back of that.
Like I pretty much love my own company and love doing what I want when I want now.
Yeah.
And now I struggle with having to ask someone else for, can I do something?
Can I do something on my own?
Right.
Yeah.
So you feel like that's something that you may struggle with in the relationship with him?
Yeah, for sure. He knows I struggle with it already.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that?
Communication.
Yeah.
I'm like, I need 5 minutes of silence. And I just see
Don't talk to me, don't look at me.
Tapping, trying to come in. Is it time yet? I'm like, set a timer. How hard is it? 5 minutes starts again.
Now that you've said something, start it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I love my own time.
Yeah.
I don't think we're finished with summarizing the outcome of the whole situation of where we were. So let's go back to, because that is definitely not the most of what you experienced.
Not fucked up things.
There is so much more to this story that I feel like you could dabble into.
I guess towards the end, like I was mentally broken. Like I wasn't eating. Like I was just an absolute like carcass, pretty much. Sorry. Yeah.
I love that word.
And it was like November, end of school year, highly stressed. I think like I was putting weight on like crazy at that point. Like I was eating like half of a portion, but I was slaving away to this person. Like I was like, I had to be home on a Saturday cleaning up, making the house nice for them to come home from sport to fucking just be a beached whale on the couch. Like I had to have fresh meals cooked. I had to have food out. Like it was just wild. But he goes to me, I really need your help in starting my own business. And I was like, how do you need my help? Well, I really need a car that can facilitate like me being able to do my job. And I was like, okay. So he's showing me all these cars and I'm like, oh, is this a forever thing for you? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay then. In my head, I was like, we're going to be together forever. Like there's no, even after all these red flags.
After all this.
We're going to be together forever. Like, okay, how can I help you? oh, I really want this car. Some guy showed me at the cricket club this car. And I was like, okay. So went to go see it. I'm like, yeah, it's nice. To me, cars mean shit. As long as it gets me from point A to point B, I don't care what it looks like.
Yeah.
And he's like talking to me about all the features. And I was like, okay. And he's like, all right, let's go in and sign the paperwork. And I was like, but you don't have money. He's like, yeah, I know. That's why I need you. And I'm like, well, can we both sign it? Like, because I'm not signing it by myself. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, before we go, we need to be able to go to the bank and sign up and create a joint bank account. Yeah, no worries. So he had left all his ID at home, had lost it. And so we get to the bank and like, we're like trying to open up an account and they're like, well, do you have any form of ID? And he's like, no, but I'm a customer with you. And they were like, oh, we can't open up an account. And I'm there freaking berating the salesperson from whatever bank we were at. But he was standing behind smirking because he knew that like he was never going to be able to open up a joint account. Because then when we went back, they were like, oh, we need to see 3 months worth of pay slips. He's like, well, Georgia, you've got pay slips. Why don't you show them your pay slips? I was like, fine. And then they're like, oh, we need an account to lodge it under. And I was like, okay. And he's like, oh, just put it under yours. And I was like, oh, okay. But then when we open up yours, we'll transfer it? Yeah, we'll transfer it. I was like, okay. So I'm sitting there with their accountant doing it and he's just scrolling on his phone. Just scrolling, not listening to any of the mumbo jumbo jargon. I just took out a $50,000 loan for this car. $50,000.
For this guy, for this psychopath.
Yeah. $50,000. It was
He's got
taking
you
out.
right where he wants you.
Morning thinker.
Georgia
Fucking
bought this
hell.
guy a fucking car.
It was brand new, like,
More expensive than her own car, can we just say?
and I had just paid off my own car.
Think about what you can do with 50 grand.
50 grand.
This is when these cars were worth 50 grand. If I had held on to it, I would have been able to make 40 grand.
What car was it?
It was like a Ford Ranger.
Yeah.
Like right before COVID hit, when like there were heaps of them around and then people started buying them.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, I should have kept it.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
So you bought this guy a car.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then like I would have to keep using the car as a threat and like to be like, if you don't do this, like I'm just going to take the car and I'll return it. Because you can't. It's out of the 3-day cooling off period. And I was like, fuck. So then I go home and I tell my sister and my sister's like,
You what?
literally, she goes, Georgia, that is the dumbest fucking thing you've ever done.
Yeah.
And I was like, no shit. That's the dumbest thing I've ever done. But then I was like, she goes, well, what are you going to do? And I'm like, well, I'm just going to have to pay it off. And she's just like, no, he might come around. He might start giving you money. And at this point, I had saved every cent that he'd owed me in like a spreadsheet. So I was like, I'm fucking getting that money back.
Yeah.
So then like it comes to Christmas period. Christmas is fine. I have to buy all the Christmas presents for his family because he's got no fucking money. But like they knew that the gifts that I'd bought them was only because of me, because of like I knew them better than how he knew them.
Yeah.
So they were like super grateful because they were like, fuck, George is going to be leaving here very shortly. So then Bella had bought us tickets to, maybe you didn't get invited.
Oh, yeah.
It was Chicago. It was Chicago. And so we're there and I like had turned up and I was bawling my eyes out and Matt sits me in Arbory Afloat. And you know that time where they had that pool in the Arbory Afloat? So
Yeah, it was
the
sick.
ancestral pool.
Oh, was I overseas? Maybe I was overseas. I don't know.
Maybe.
Anyway,
Let's just
so you were
say that.
So you were
So we're there and I'm bawling my eyes out and he goes, Georgia, this is not fucking worth this. Like, you have taken on so much. Like, it's pretty clear. Like, you've done everything you can. You can't fix him. And I was like, okay. So he'd worded me up to dump this guy. So then I was like, okay, I'm ready. Like, he'd put on like all these songs and I was like, I'm ready to do it. So he dropped me off at the house afterwards. And I'm there. He's literally laying on the couch because he knew it was coming and he sat the dog in front of him and he made me say goodbye to the dog. To the dog. Like, he's like, well, you're not just leaving me, you're leaving our child. Like,
Oh
Just
my goodness.
some serious manipulation, and Matt's hot on the phone, red hot. What the fuck's going on? Do I need to come over there? Like all this stuff. I'm like, no, it's fine. And I just was like, all right, maybe I can give it one more shot. One more.
I am exhausted.
All right.
Even thinking about that.
Then I caught up with Kayla the day after.
Yeah.
And Kayla and I had sat down, and she was like, she told me everything that she was going through. And I was like, if you break up with your boyfriend, I'll break up with my boyfriend. Yeah. And so I went back, and I'm like, I felt like I was part of Legally Blonde, where it's like, give me the jug, jackass. You know, that's fun. So I was like, give me the keys, jackass. Like, put all my shit in the back of things. So I'm standing there, and he's there in his jocks, and he's putting all my stuff in the back of the car. And then I take off in the vehicle, and I'm like, yes, this is amazing. So good. Then he's like, oh, you forgot your jewelry box. So I have to go back there, and he's fucking got a knife out. And he's just like, I was like, what the fuck's that doing there? And like, he was like, nothing. And he's like playing with it and like showing me some martial arts fucking shit with this knife. And I'm like, I need to get the fuck out of here.
Is that because that's a threat?
Yeah, big threat. But this wasn't the worst threat that I'd received from him since this point. Like, so I was like, this is the first time that I saw him actually trying to be violent.
Oh my
Tell
God.
us more, go.
So like, I guess during COVID, I was like, I need to do some self-development. And I had moved down to Lawn, and I was like I was in my zen. I was doing my things, mindfulness, all that kind of stuff that they say is good for you, actually good for you. And it came to a point where I was like looking to buy a property, and I was like, I need my money because otherwise, like, I don't have enough to buy anything and the market's really good. And so I contacted him, and I was like, hey, like, I need that money because you promised my family that you'd pay me back. And he's like, I ain't fucking giving you a cent. Like, what? He goes, I ain't giving you a cent. I owe you nothing. You ruined my life.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh, okay. So then I went behind his back, contacted his parents. I said, hey, I'd like that money. And then they tried to come at me being like, your parents are wealthy enough, they'll be able to give you the money. And then I said something that would have rocked their fucking core, and then they just transferred me. All of it.
Can we go into what you said?
It was like, it was something that their son had done that was just like, would rock people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, they were like, okay, but they're like, never tell him that we sent you the money, because they knew that they'd be in a bit of shit from him. And yeah.
Imagine being scared of your own child.
Yeah.
Wow.
Can we, all right, so we're highlighting the fact that you got the fuck out of that situation.
Was that the I'm done moment?
I think there are a lot of I'm done moments.
But what was the moment that you're
What
like,
was the
this
pivotal
is-
one?
I'm well and
It was-
truly done.
Oh, it was that he'd left me there for 4 days and just pretty much didn't talk to me. So I was like isolated in this house that was fucking spooky. And I was like, this is actually traumatic. Like, I feel like I couldn't even leave the house. Like, I wasn't comfortable enough to leave the house.
What were you scared of if you left? What do you think, what was going through your mind?
That the dog was going to die, because the dog wasn't very well. So he'd threatened me with the dog heaps of times. Like, the dog was really sick at one point, and him and his mates were all doing stupid shit. And I'm like in bed asleep, and he waked me up and was like, you have to take my dog to the vet now. And just started berating me in front of them. It was like so embarrassing.
So he was just so controlling in every aspect. What triggered you? I want to go back to the infidelity side of things. Now, this whole time that you were in this relationship, which you haven't touched on, and I'm going to get you to go into it now. So the ex-girlfriend was not the ex-girlfriend.
No, they're married now.
Are they?
They are married.
Yeah.
She actually called me a couple of times to ask for some advice on how to deal with him as a person. Like, so she'd gotten my number out of his phone and was like,
she's dyslexic.
Maybe she's the disabled one.
I need some help. Like, this is what he's doing. Like, he's messaging other girls. What should I do? I'm like, hun, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Are you stupid?
Yeah.
Don't be that guy.
Yeah.
So, but like this is just mind baffling me, right? So
Same. I'm like gobsmacked.
like this whole time that you
Double life.
this whole time that you were dating this guy, he was living a double life.
Yeah.
So he was playing off both of you, saying that like he was making you freaking stay at home. He was controlling you. And while you were at his house and he left you for 4 days, he's not at work. He's at this girl's house.
Yeah.
Like living with this other girl who he is now married to. But I remember at the time when I warned you about this guy, and I'm like, I don't think he's done with the ex-girlfriend. But then he had manipulated you to hate me.
Yeah.
And so you weren't talking to me at this point. So any message that I was trying to give you to help you get out of the situation,
that goes over your head.
you were being controlled to like and manipulated to not
Like,
believe anything I
he
said.
was controlling every situation or encounter that I had with any other man.
Mm.
Like,
Or friend.
yeah, or friend. Like at the time when we picked you guys up from someone's house and you hopped in the front and I hopped in the back, he then said that some stuff happened that I was like, oh yeah, I could see how you thought that happened, but that never happened. But then made me call you and tell you that it happened.
Mm. Mm.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Why?
He just fed you lies and lies and lies.
He
to-
actually, this guy I hadn't even spoken to in months. We were best friends. And he messaged him, went through my phone, messaged him, hey, how are you? Pretended to be me. Goes, oh, we should meet up. And I'm going to my phone. I'm like, who the fuck messaged this guy? And he's like, oh, I just wanted to see if he was interested in you. I'm like, well, now you have to go fucking meet up with him. I'm not meeting up with him. Oh, I'm not meeting up with him. I'm like, well, you messaged
Hang
him.
on a minute. So he messaged a guy in your phone
Pretending to be you.
to meet up with. What the fuck?
Why? Let's get it from a guy's perspective. Why do guys like to control women like that? Like, what is it?
Normal guys don't. So that's not like a. There's a few questions I wanted to ask, right?
Yeah, okay.
And don't like take these at face value.
Mm-hmm.
How attractive is this dude? How good was the sex? And like what? So what was the thing that kept this going beyond the point where like because it's detrimental to you from the start, right?
At that point, he was like the best sex that I had had
Yeah.
at that point.
Yeah, for sure.
Now,
And
no.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
But I think that's a thing.
Like, and he looked very similar to my first ex-boyfriend.
Yeah. So your type to a T kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely not my type now.
No. But I think that's important to point out too, because there's a lot of stuff when there's chemistry that you can just be like, no, that's fine, because it is like there's another connection that like bypasses all of like the emotional stuff, even though it's both emotional. Dudes that do that sort of shit didn't sound very smart though. Like, because a lot of the lies, like even you knew when it was happening, you're like, that's fucking stupid. Like that's not real, right? I think it's like, it's the low IQ dudes that have the balls to push the envelope like that and just say this weird shit, like the stuff you had with the double phones. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, I was like
that's
mortified.
fucking insane, right?
Yeah.
And then like to be caught with it and stuff, and then like not even just be like, I'm fucked. Like, and then just have the lease, like that lease with someone's name on it that he just had. And then this other chick now that like,
But like there
is
was
now
this,
his wife. What?
It's a certain type of person that like.
So he had told me like we were going to Melbourne Cup or whatever, and like he had also promised his wife that they were going to go to Melbourne Cup together. So he'd like full ghosted her and went with me, uploaded all these photos, and then she was fucking furious, contacting me, and then like they were Snapchatting, and I'm like, oh, why are you Snapchatting her? He goes, oh, I'm trying to sell her my fridge. Like, you're not trying to sell her a fridge. And then that's
on
when
Snapchat.
yeah,
That was the light bulb moment.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Because then the housemates came up to me and they couldn't tell me because like they had their own shit going on, and was like, Georgia, you can do so much better, but we can't tell you why.
Did you end up finding out from the friends about the whole situation?
Well,
Why?
they
Why can't they say
they
why?
tried to catch up with me afterwards to like be like, hey, like he fucked us over too. That well, like I think they owed them a lot of money.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just can't even like. That is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
The whole story.
But like I wouldn't be surprised if he's lost a couple of fingers and toes at this point.
Yeah.
Like I
Just due
wouldn't-
to debt.
Yeah.
When was the
The
last time you
silicons.
had contact with him?
So I'd actually started, like, Will and I were seeing each other, and he'd reached out to me and he was like, hey, like, I want to make things right. I want to put water under the bridge. Can I catch up with you? And I was like, you know what? No, you can't catch up with me. And he was like, oh, I didn't really want to catch up with you anyway.
Oh,
I was asking for a friend.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. But I, on Instagram the other day, people suggested friends. He'd actually popped up looking for me.
That means, like, if they comes up like that, they're searching you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So now you know who's stalking
So I was
you.
I was like, oh, maybe I should write some more things in there. But no, even creepier. So we'd actually made a playlist together on Spotify.
Well, I hope he stalks you again and finds his podcast.
I know. I think someone will send it to him anyway.
I hope so.
They would still know people.
Dumb fucking
Do you
dog.
reckon? Oh.
Like we had this podcast playlist together, and like we used to add songs into it when we were together. Then, like, I don't know, like I was like scrolling through for a playlist and I was like, oh, that looks odd. Went in there, it was like he had selected songs based on the title to write me a message.
What do you mean?
Like, I'm sorry, I miss you, like those types of songs in Spotify.
He's unwell.
Whoa.
The level of thought and like dedication that he's got.
It's a full-time job.
Full-time job. Like,
But he doesn't have one,
Like I said
so-
before, I'm exhausted from even
Yeah.
thinking about doing half that shit.
Mhm.
Let's wrap up the story.
Yeah.
How did the story end? As in, there was like police and stuff that ended up getting involved in this.
So like so the Ring of Steel was up, and because I was in Lawn, like there was no way in hell that he could have came to visit me.
Ring of Steel from COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm going to come down. I'm going to fucking kill you. Because he must have found out that I'd got money from the parents. And he was like, I'm going to, like, you have no idea how much pain you've caused me. You need to pay for this. So then I had to go get an IVO.
Yep.
Because I was like, I wouldn't put it past this motherfucker to chase me.
Yeah.
Talked a big game, but I reckon he's a little bit.
Of a bitch.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he probably wouldn't actually come and
No
hurt you,
way,
but you'd
because
hope
like when we first broken up, my brothers actually went to his parents' house and like staunched him, the whole family, being like, you guys owe us so much because, yeah.
not. What's the biggest thing you think you've learned from this relationship?
The
Two biggest things.
I can not process trauma a lot easily, but you know, the iceberg theory, like, because I deal with a lot of stuff at work that like allows me to, like, I need to be able to switch off. So like, because I've been able to like work through it and bury this, like I don't take as much stuff home that would make me upset, if that makes sense.
Right. But do you feel like you're burying it, or you just kind of like, are you dealing with it and moving on, or are you just burying it and
Like
kind
I'm
of
able just to like switch it off.
Yeah.
Like, so then when I go back into work and then I look up that person, it's like, that's when like I can feel it. But if I'm not conscious of it, I don't remember it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's another thing that you feel like you've learned?
See the bullshit? Pull out the bullshit?
Yeah.
What is the biggest difference between that relationship and the relationship that you're in now?
My current fiance is a doctor, maybe. That's a big thing. Has a job.
That's key as well. The new guy sounds like he's probably more your intellectual equal,
Yeah.
which also probably means he's your emotional equal.
Yeah.
I think that was the biggest issue. What I picked up on was you were like, he kind of fed your ego initially, and then you're like, I've never had this before. But then there's so many other things that you didn't align on
Yeah.
that then that's all these shitty behaviors that shitty people have.
Yeah.
And you probably find his wife, she's probably a bit of a dumb bitch too. So that's probably why
She's
it works.
Dental hygienist? No, not a hygienist. Maybe, yeah.
No,
Cleans, no, it's the person that hands the tool to the dentist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dental assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't degrade the hygienist. Sorry, everyone listening.
What are some traits that you identified in a toxic narcissistic relationship versus a healthy one?
The phone is a big issue. Like if
Yeah.
you can't let someone, not even like I don't go through Will's phone at all, but if you can't like leave your phone out when you go to the bathroom, yeah.
That's what I was going to say too. That's a massive thing too. A lot of guys have it face
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
Mm.
Like if I ask to be like, I haven't downloaded the YouTube app, but I use Will's phone for YouTube when I could just download it myself. But he's just like, yeah, whatever. Change my algorithm. Go for it. Like he just trusts my ability that I'm not going to do anything stupid. Yeah.
And go through the actual phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a massive thing.
So trust is one. Okay, so trust in a good, healthy, positive relationship
Yeah.
versus betrayal
Yeah.
in the other one.
A lot of women and men too chase that feeling too, of that like that toxic feeling. I don't know what it is. Like you just, because I've been in shitty relationships too, where it's just you have some sort of like a healthy relationship with someone, but you would rather go for someone that is not interested in you or is like they're just showing like toxic behaviors. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the people that give it to you all.
I don't want
That is
this.
literally
This is not
you,
exciting.
Kayla.
This doesn't get my heart rate going.
Well, like I think another key takeaway was like being able to communicate effectively.
Yeah.
Like Will and I, like we communicate so well, and that like we can talk through our emotions and why we get angry and what the trigger was for us getting angry,
Yeah.
which I've never had with anyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. And just being able to be transparent and honest.
Yeah, being like, I'm having a fucking shit day. Oh,
Yeah.
you need time.
You need time, you need space, and he gets that.
What do you think people can do if they're in a situation that like similar to yours and they're scared to leave or they don't know how to leave or even just the next step of trying to leave?
I think what's really hard is like going to friends is really difficult because it's the I told you so. Why
Yeah.
didn't you listen to me? And I think it's going someone who's removed from the situation, who doesn't know much, is usually someone to call it out who like doesn't know anything of the situation.
Doesn't have a bias.
Like a neutral party.
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah.
therapist.
Yeah. They're expensive though.
They are expensive. They are
I
expensive.
think a third party is a good idea because I know what you're saying. Like in that instance, you would have felt too scared to perhaps reach out to someone like me because you had barred me.
Yeah.
So you were probably scared that I would say, go
Like,
fuck yourself.
I had to call my friend in a different state for advice.
Yeah.
Like who'd never met him, like, and just saying everything. And she was like, Georgia, that's fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's something that you can take away now from hindsight, looking into the whole situation now?
I'm so lucky. Like, so lucky. Like, imagine if I'd like, not weak, but like couldn't bear with the separation. Like you see people who just stay because they're like, oh, it's easier to stay than rip my whole life apart.
Yeah. Or even like you're so lucky that you never had a kid to him or
Oh my God. Can
you know what I mean?
Imagine having a kid with him.
that's wild.
You'd be locked down for
Yeah.
good. Locked down for good.
One question
Lord.
one question that I have for you
Mm.
is what advice would you give to women or men that are in the situation like this right now?
There's actually a lot of, I don't know, I was listening to the radio. There are a lot of actual non-for-profit like companies that actually help people get removed from these situations.
Yeah.
I think just the sad part is that the percentage of people that go back is so great,
Yeah.
which is really hard. Like I think it wasn't until I did the work that I was happy and content with leaving.
Yeah. Describe to us what you mean by doing the work. What did you do?
Like I did a lot of reflection on like how situations made me feel, and I tried to find it, but I actually had written our whole story out online.
Yeah.
And I don't know where I posted it. It's just
Really?
gone. Yeah. Like just to get it on paper, and then I read it and I'm like, if I had read this from anyone else, I would not have put up with that. Like
Isn't it funny? Like
for
reading
me
back on
to
that.
spit it out, read it back, it was like, whew, I'm removed from that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I purchased like Alexis Fernandez, she released like this mindfulness course because she talks a lot about trauma on her podcast and red flags because she went through a pretty yuck situation herself.
What's her podcast called?
Do you fucking mind?
Oh yeah, I know her. I listened to her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great.
Really good.
Yeah. So like it was a part of my like process. I would wake up, walk to the coffee shop, get a coffee, and by the time I walked to the coffee shop, one episode was done.
Yeah.
And then on the way back, I would reflect on that episode and then try and implement like strategies in my own life.
Yeah. So because that podcast is a lot about personal development and psychology and how you process things and why people act in certain ways and unpacking a whole lot of trauma and situations that cause people to have like that pain and that suffering. Like
sure.
Should we go to the wrap it up and go to the rapid fire?
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Oh, God.
So we want to finish this with a number of rapid fire questions. So this can be...
Can't be looking at them right now.
Okay, this can be short, sharp, quick.
Okay.
Or if you want to dive into it, you can.
Okay.
It's more so just like the first thing that kind of comes to your head. Say that.
Okay.
Cool. So the first one is, what's your biggest lesson that you've learned in life to this day?
Speak up more. Like being an upstander, not a bystander. I think calling out people's behaviour is really important.
Yeah.
I love that.
So I was supposed to be rapid.
That's okay.
No, that's good. That's good.
One piece of advice you have for someone who may be going through a similar thing.
It's not normal, but a lot of people experience it.
But what's your advice?
What's my advice? Run for the hills, honey.
Run, bitch. What's 2 things that you can recommend for self-care or self-love?
Gravity float. They're really good. I love those. I go into a weird trance. It's very fun. I do like walking in nature.
Yeah.
Jeez, I sound like a loser.
No, I love that. You just feel at peace when you do it. I love that.
It's so nice. What is an ick in relationships for you?
Chewing. I hate when people chew near me. And like that. Can't do it.
Or you can hear them breathing while they eat.
Yeah, breathing.
Oh, we spoke about this.
What's your favourite quality about Will?
He finds the positive in most situations.
I love how you say most.
Well, something you can't.
Would you like to spoil your lover or be spoiled?
Spoil them because I enjoy seeing them happy.
Aww.
I love that. I'm the same. I'm the same. What's your love language?
Oh, acts of kindness. Is that the ones?
Yeah.
I mean, you could have told from my last one.
Yeah.
Ideal date night.
Oh, I've been playing with this. I actually I'm devastated in my apartment. I don't have a bath.
Yeah.
So I've been going to Ascot Vale. Listen, sit in a spa with some creepy men. But no, I just love a night at home on the couch pretty much.
Yeah.
If I had a spa, it'd be a spa night.
Yes.
What's one thing people tend to misunderstand about you?
I come off really confident. I think sometimes like I'm able to hold a conversation with new people.
Yeah.
But then I kind of just like die in the ass at the end and don't pay attention. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I actually don't care what you're talking about.
Yeah.
One thing that you're proudest of leaving that relationship.
I'm proud of you for leaving that relationship.
One thing I'm proud of. Be here for a while. I think just, I don't know, always pushing myself to be better. Like I don't like to stay comfortable.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You're ambitious.
Yeah.
You've got a good drive.
Mm-hmm.
Best piece of advice you've ever received?
Oh, it's like, don't hate yourself for being a nice person to someone who didn't deserve it.
Ooh,
I like
that's
that.
nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Is there anything you regret?
wish I didn't spend all that money.
Yeah.
Buying that
out.
fucking car.
Yeah. And I mean, we kind of touched on this before, but what's the biggest lesson you learned from your toxic relationship or relationships?
Don't dismiss the flags.
Yeah.
Fucking acknowledge the flags.
Say it again.
Yeah.
Don't ignore the flags.
Oh, thank you so much, Georgia,
Yeah,
for
thanks
coming
for having
on.
me. It was very, very nice. Very nice.
Love it. It's gone blank.
George is in charge of the outro for today.
Yes. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on. We do really appreciate it. Speaking so openly about situations like this is important. And I think it's important for, I think everyone goes through situations like this. And I've just fucked this up because I've completely forgot where I'm up to. But let me start that again.
I think the main point of this whole conversation is the fact that you're not alone. And so many people go through these situations. And I think the main emphasis that I want to highlight is you went through such a toxic shit relationship, but you've come out the other side, and you've come out the other side because you've done the work, you've done your own personal development.
Just got to surrender.
Your own healing. I'm still surrendering. God, this is me actually surrendering. But the thing is, like, you can't take me seriously. The thing is, among all of the shit that you've gone through with this experience, is you are now literally with a guy who would do, and I can say this as your friend, who absolutely adores him. Like, I'm so proud that you've and excited that you found someone who gives a fuck about you, literally will do anything for you. He loves you so much, and I'm just so fucking happy for you.
You know what? There is someone out there who will massage your feet every night, and I've found that.
And I'm so glad.
I'm still trying to look for that.
Wait, how about you? The last point that we should close on is, what advice do you have for Georgia and I?
How fast can you?
You know what? Just don't look.
Yeah.
That is my best advice. It happens when you're not looking.
That's true.
Delete Hinge now.
Yeah, I reckon I have.
I think you've been kicked off.
have.
I'm fucking
It's time to go. It's time to get rid of the dating apps and
don't find any creeps at the gym. Man, I've seen some weird people that hang out around you two.
Preach to fucking that.
Gosh.
Yeah. Yeah.
My God, there are some
Gym
sickos
bros.
that hang out around you two.
Catch ya.
There's just a lot of freaks at the gym. Like a lot of weirdos at the gym. So
Yeah.
time to go.
But yeah, I think it's time to go with this episode as well. So yeah. Let's wrap it up. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and let us know what you thought of this episode. If it resonated with you, be sure to please share it to your story and tag us at Evolve to Thrive. See you next week.
Bye.